Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this tutorial I am going to cover that how we are going to display the property details. With that we are also going to show you that how we are going to update as well as delete the product details from the list of property. In my last tutorial I have covered that how we can add the validation for those fields over here, right? Those validation we have added, and also once we clicked on the save button after putting the valid values over here, then the details is saved into the database. So those things we have covered. Now we are going to display the property details, like whatever the data we have saved into the database. So that details we are going to like fetch from the database and display over here. So how we are going to doing that I'm going to cover today. So for that, in the same form actually, like here we are going to like create one conditional kind of thing, like if this view is enabled, like once the user is logged in into the system, so first time they can view the list of like property, and over there we are going to give one options like create new property. Once they will click on that, then this new form will appear, this one. Okay, so let design this one, then we can. Okay, so first of all, like there is a in the TS file there is one like field we need to introduce, that is called a is form view. Okay, so this field here we need to defining is form view equals to, it will be a signal, and here it will be a boolean obviously, and then we are going to initially it will be a false. Okay, so in the HTML file basically now we are going to check that form view is enabled or not. Okay, if in the TS file over here, like we need to create this is form view method, is form view. Now actually over here we need to add this particular condition that like if this form view is true, then only we are going to allow the user to create that particular form. Okay, so the end will be over here. So it will be end over here because this is the last before the div, right? So we have opened this if here and closed over here, means if this form view is true, then only we are going to display the property creation form, else we are going to create another form, actually not form, actually basically over there we are going to display the property list. So how we are going to defining this one? So for that we need to designing that our page over here. Okay, so first of all we need to defining one div, that is this one, and here it will be close, this will be a card, let format it. Okay, next over here we need to defining that card header, and over there we are going to give that option for in the header section of it, like we are going to display that property list, and here we are going to give that option that from here they can create new, like once they will create, then we are going to enable the form view, and means we need to basically do the toggle so that user can go to the property, means from there user can create the property. Next over there we need to defining another card, and over there like we need to defining the body. Okay, so let me so here basically we need to use @else, right? @else we need to add, let it format, So let me explain over here little bit. Like we have defining the card and then card header. So in the header section, as I mentioning, we are defining the property list, and here we are going to give another option for button. From here, once they will create this clicked on this create new button, then it will basically go to the property add property option, and from there user can add the property. Next, we have defining the card body. From here we have giving multiple like header defining the table actually, like property title, location, city, state, and actions. Action means the what kind of actions user need to take for this particular property, like either edit or delete. So over here if you see, and here we are checking that grid data actually it will whatever the data we are fetching from the database, so we are storing as a data over here. So if the length is 0, 0 means we have not fetched any details from the database. So in the time we are showing that no record found. Else here we are showing that if not equals to 0, then we are just iterating over the grid data because it's containing all the property list information. And here also we are creating defining our index over here. And then particular index actually it will be increased by 1 for each row. Means let's say if there is a 5 row, so first the section will be 1, then second 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. And here we are setting the data over here. In the action field that I was saying, here actually edit means here we are going to pass the data over here, like whatever the they have updated the details over there. Then accordingly it will call the onEdit method. If we click the edit button, accordingly it will call backend API, and accordingly it will update the data over there. If they clicked on the delete, then on delete basically we are deleting that particular record from the database so that it will reflect over here. So the HTML wise we are ready now. What next we need to define? In the TS file we need to create this create new method. Then we need to also defining this onEdit and the onDelete. With that also we need to integrate for fetching the details and storing the data into that grid data, right? This grid data we need to store the data so that we can display the details over there. Now we have saved the file. Initially now we are going to getting some kind of the compilation issues because these methods are not available on the TypeScript file onEdit, onDelete. So those methods we need to define over here in the TypeScript file. So in the TypeScript file basically we need to defining that grid data first of all. So how we are going to defining that grid data? So the grid data basically it will be array of property, something like that. Let us defining this one grid data, okay, and then here it will be a property of array, right, because it will contain the list of property. So it will be a list of things, list of property details. Next, what we are going to done over here, when this will be load actually, right, when this particular component will be load, then ng on it basically loaded, right. So we need to defining this ng on it method over here. So this ng on it method, what we are going to done over here, like once this form will be loaded, then we need to call that fetching the details from the database. So this method we need to defining over here. Then we need to like call that particular method from over here. So for that in the integration service we need to like write another method which will fetch the details from the database, and similar methods API actually we need to write from the backend service also, right. So let write that get all property from the database, right. So here we need to defining that method like this get all property, okay, and it will return this property array. And this particular method we need to call from this over here. So here we need to write one method which will basically call that particular backend API. Let's say get grid data, okay. So this particular method actually we need to create over here. this method, and we need to call this dot integration service dot get all properties. So here we don't need to pass any kind of request, because from here we need to get all the properties, right, without any condition. So then dot subscribe. So here we have defining all the details over here. Now if we get the proper response, then here in the grid data, basically let it rename grid data equals to this response, and else we are printing the response over here. And this particular grid data we need to call from this method, because while this form will be load, then we need to call this particular method, and it will load all the data from there, this dot grid data. Okay, next we need to defining that create new method, right? So the create new method means it will basically, let me add this method, create new. So once this will be that button actually called, then we need to initialize that this dot form object equals to new property, means we are reinitializing that form. Then this dot is form view dot set equals to this dot is form view okay, and here we need to negate this one, means once the create new will be called, then we need to set the form view is a false, right? Next is the edit and the delete button. So once the edit I'm not adding, but the method should be added over here, else we are going to get some kind of the compilation issues over here. So once user clicked on this on edit, then basically we are going to redirect that particular form into the update page. So here we can create one toggle button, toggle method actually. Under this we are just going to keep one method. Let me add this one. So here just this one, and once they clicked on this on edit, then basically we are going to toggle the form, right? So let me add this one on edit. So from here, after that we are going to this dot toggle view, this method we need to call. So this on edit is done now. Next we are going to use this on delete. So inside of the on delete, basically we need to call the backend API. So that actually we need to add. So as we are adding this on delete functionalities over there, so once user clicked on the delete button, then we need to give some kind of the notification to user, like kind of the, as it is a delete means we are going to delete the data from the database. So we are adding user that you are sure to delete the data, means just to make the double sure that they are clicking the delete button by intentionally or maybe by mistakes, so they can confirm. So for that we need to add one confirm messages. We need to show them to the user, like are you sure to want to delete that one, like confirm. It will open one pop-up. I will show you that how it will be. If they clicked on the yes, then the on is delete will be the true. Then if this is the true, then only we are deleting data from the database, means once they will click this OK button or yes button from this confirming that they are going to delete this data, then we are going to delete the record. So from the if block we are going to deleting the records. In the integration service, as we are creating one services that will fetch all the record from the database. So now over here we are going to create another service which will delete the data from the database. So what will be the method name for this one? Like delete property by id. Here we need to pass the id. So id will be a number. Okay. Then over here we need to use observable. After that we need to pass the response type. So response will be any, and then actually we need to call the services. So how we are going to call this service? This dot http dot. So as we are doing the delete operation, so for that we need to call the delete method, and here again we need to do the response type, and then here we are going to pass this base URL. Okay. After that plus here actually the URL will be get property by id, and also we need to pass this id to the endpoint, whatever the API we are going to write in the backend. Over there we need to pass this id. So delete property by id, this will be the API name, and this is the base URL, and this particular method we need to call from over here. How we are going to call this one? By this integration service. So we have already used this integration services over here. We just need to reuse integration service dot delete property by id. So here we need to pass that id from over here, data dot id, right? So from over here we need to pass, because this data we are going to get from the UI, so it will be a property id, correct? After that we are going to use this subscribe. Then so after doing the subscribe, basically if it is a next, means we are going to get the response. So if this is, we are getting this particular response, then here we are checking that if it is a success response, then we are showing that alert message that record deleted successfully. After that we are going to reload the grid data. Means once, suppose let's say there is a 4 records into the grid, like from the database we have fetched those record, but now we have deleted 1 record from over there. So after that it will actually basically deleted the data from the database, but it will not refresh this page 1, right? So for this, if we call this particular grid data again, so it will fetch only updated record from the database, and accordingly it will reload the list page. Now actually after deleting 1 record, we are getting the 3 records over there. So this is about this one. Like now this UI part is ready. If we just trying to reiterate over here, we have just added one form condition, like if it is a form visible true, then we are going to display this one create or update property. If it is a kind of edit mechanism, then it will come over here in the else part, and then it will fetch all the records and display all the data over here. And from this tab actually we are allowing, like giving these 2 options, like for edit and the delete button. Once they will click the edit, so they are actually able to edit the data, and once they will click on the on delete, then they are able to delete the data from the database. Okay, here actually, okay, so this is actually about this one. What next we need to do? In next we need to create the backend API for those API, like delete and the for the delete actually, because this method already we have created, right, the get one. Or if not, then also we need to create this method and this method. These 2 methods we need to create in the backend API. So let's create those API, and then we will run this application and check that how we are going to get this output. So let's create the backend application. So this is the Spring Boot API that here we have created that save property details, right? So this method, this API basically already available. What next to API we need to create over here? The one API is which will fetch all the properties from the database, and another one API that actually basically delete the property details by ID from the database, right? So for that basically what we need to do, we need to create two service. In the service layer we need to add those method, which will basically the first one which will fetch all the property from the database. So for that let me add this method over here. So here like this one, get all property. How we are going to get this all property? By this repository dot find all, which will basically fetch all the details from the database. Next we need to add the method for the deleting the records from the database. So for that, like this one, delete property by ID, here we need to just pass this ID, and then based on the ID we need to call this from the repository. We need to use this delete by ID, right? It is a void actually. And then after deleting the data from the database, what we are doing over here, we are just doing that, setting the response like details deleted successfully, correct? So or like property details, we can say property details deleted successfully. So and then we are returning the response. Now in the controller basically we need to add those method, and that method name will be first of all get all property. So this is one API basically, that get all property. Okay, let me add this one, the list and then entity. Okay, so here that get all property. So here if you see already we have inject this property service. So based on this service we are calling this get all property, and then it will basically return the list of property, and it is a response entity of this one. Okay, next we need to use the delete mapping. So as it is a get mapping because we are just fetching the data from the database, and as for the delete basically we are deleting some records from the database, so that's why it will be a delete mapping. If you notice from the over here we are using this delete one, correct, right? So here also we are using this delete mapping, and then property service dot delete property by ID, and here we are passing this ID. So these two API we need to create, because these two API basically is calling from over here, right? So now this thing is done. Now we need to just start this application from the here also. So how we are going to start this, like ng sub. In the meantime also we need to start the backend application. So we need to just start this application, so that in the backend also it will be started, and then we are going to check from the from the portal, from the browser we are going to check. So let's see if it is taking some time. Once it will start, then we can check from the portal, right? So let it start. Meantime let's see that Angular boot application, it will be started soon. It will not take much time actually. If you see the Tomcat started on port 8080, right? So this is the message that we are receiving over here, means the Tomcat application got started over here. Now basically we need to see, okay, it is also got started. Now from the browser we will check. Here we need to just do login with the existing username and password. So we do login. After that we are redirecting over here. Now if we click on the add property, so if you see it will basically fetch the details. So if you go over in the network tab basically, so let me do the login again just to see. Okay, test, then give the password. Okay, so it will basically redirect to the dashboard page, right? Now let me clean this one. Now once we clicked on this add property, then get all property basically getting called right here, if you see. And now we are also getting these two button, edit or delete. Here also we are seeing this create new button. So once we click this, so we can jump over here. Now let's say we can add some property details. Okay, let me add some pin code, city, and then state. Okay, now if we click this saved, then property details added successfully with this ID 15. Now if we clicked on the OK, then it will basically, we need to redirect to the like that list pages. So that also we need to do, right? Save property details, so that we need to add over here. Like once we are going to save the details, save the data in the typescript file over here. So once the save is done, then here actually basically we need to call this method like this one. We just load the data and we just need to do this one, and then this dot toggle view means it will basically toggle the view. Let's save this one and try again. Okay, so here property list will come. Let try to put data over here, city, state. Okay, so it will say that details added successfully. Now it will redirect to over here, means we are getting the details over here, right? Now if we click the delete one, so it will ask us to that, are you sure want to delete? So this is actually that confirm that we have added inside of this delete one. If you notice this one, so this is actually asking to the user that please are you sure to want to delete. If we clicked on the OK, then it will be got deleted, and also you're getting the message that record deleted successfully, and also the grid is reloaded. Okay, so this is the overall functionalities, that how we are going to fetch the details from the database, and also how we are going to add, edit, and the delete. So edit, if we clicked on the edit, then those data is actually populated over here, and from here we can update data. But this update functionalities I have not added till now. In next tutorial I will add this update functionalities. But the thing is that once we clicked on the edit button, then the data will be loaded over here, and also the update button is coming, right? Here also, like if we from over here we need to add another button actually, like this button. Previously I just commented those this one. Okay, so what it will do basically, it's a button that toggle view, like it will basically go to the list. So once we will click on the go to the list, it will from the create page we can redirect to the, so let me show you, create one, and this is the go to list. Okay, so this is the toggle one. From here we can easily move. Okay, so this is, so now like if we create new, clicked on this, so we can see the save button. But if we clicked on the edit button, so then we can see the update button. How this is coming? So this is coming based on this. Let me show you that how it is coming. We have added one condition actually in the save button, like here. So if this property ID equals to 0, then we are showing the save button. If property ID actually not equals to 0, means it will show the update button, right? So this is the overall things for fetching the details and display those results in a list, and also like we have did some kind of the actions over here, like edit and the editing the delete functions, and also we are doing some kind of activities over here. In next tutorial I am going to cover that update functionalities, like once we added some edit, clicked on the edit button, and let's say we have updated something, some details, and clicked on the update, it will update the record into the database. So that actually I am going to cover in my next tutorial. If you guys have anything, please do let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Please press the bell icon for further notification. Thanks for your time. See you in my next videos. Bye bye.